All right. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, happy fourth Thursday of November. um, let's see. I said earlier. So first thing, I apologize for being late in posting this. The reason why I was late was because I was enjoying the holiday with my family, which is probably the best excuse I will ever give in any of these speedruns for late posting. But I mean, in my time zone, which is one of the latest in the entire world, it's still 11 o'clock p.m. So, you know, in my time zone, it's not too late. But anyways, I think it's an important day, and I think all days are important days to be grateful for the shit you have. You know, damn. Because like even right now, like a lot of people who are watching this video, you're probably already have so much in life that other people don't get the even the choice or opportunity to really have. I mean, you gotta have like a fucking phone or something, right? Because pretty sure the majority of the people who watch my videos have or do so on either phones or computers. I'd have to look at that stat again, but I believe that's the case. But yeah, damn it, that's fine. Um, it's hard to make these things. I never really script these things whenever I make those like rant videos. This isn't really a rant. It's more like just talking. It's like kind of like a one-sided conversation. But I never script these, so I never know what really to say until I get into a flow. Um, yeah, I'll say something when I think of something. But I mean, even like I see a lot of people who sometimes say things like, "Oh, I was born in the wrong generation," or shit's so bad nowadays. But this is the best time historically that any people have been living in pretty much ever. If you really think about it, I mean, more people have rights, and I mean like basic human rights, than at any point in history. Because like a lot of people think of like Europe and North America as like the civilized places, but like people were not given rights there at all for the majority of that time. I mean, the civil rights movement in the United States, it only happened like 60 years ago. That's not a long time. My dad was born before the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1967. He was born before that, which is crazy. And so, like, some of the worst eras in history happened not too long ago. I mean, for the most of the early 20th century, a time that people romanticize and glamorize, especially like the Roaring Twenties, people were at war. I mean, the entire world was plunged into two conflicts just for more power, pretty much. Just because imperialist nations wanted more power over their respective colonies and the European continent. And so the fact that there hasn't been a huge global conflict in almost over a century is really something to be commended. I think we should be doing what we can, those of us who live in democratic societies, to, because we're going to be voting age soon. I mean, I'm sure most of the people watching this video aren't 18 because most 18-year-olds don't care about Roblox. But, like, I turn 18 literally in 1 year. And in my country, that means I can vote. It might not be the next election. We'll see. But, I mean, yeah, the 2027 governor national election, I'm going to be voting in that, which is crazy to think about. And yeah, I live in California, so usually, there isn't really a vote. There is a vote, but it's usually decided anyway because the state is very polarized. But the fact that I can vote is insane to think about. I think a lot of people take that for granted. And so, what's really important to think about is to be grateful for the shit that you do have in whatever country you live in, because all of us can say one thing about all of us, whether you're from the United States or from somewhere, a country in Europe, or even, can I make this? Yeah, or even like somewhere like South America or Africa or Asia. All of us have our own criticisms for our countries, but I mean, one thing we can say is that at least we have the ability to think critically and have these criticisms even in our hearts, and to be able to express our emotions and desires and feelings to other people. That isn't something that, isn't just given to us. It's been fought for years. I mean, a lot of people like to try and trivialize complex situations. And I don't want to really name any examples, but like in Europe, because of all the wars that happen in the Middle East that are, well, kind of caused by imperialism, but a lot of Europeans and even people who don't live in Europe are like trying to say things like stop immigration or stop immigrants from destroying the continent, but they're not destroying the continent. They're going to Europe because it is a prosperous continent. It is a prosperous continent full of countries that are one way or another united with each other, with both the European Union and NATO. And so a lot of people really don't realize that. Like, they don't think about the fact that, you're living in one of the most prosperous continents historically. And whether this imperialism was good or bad, that continent was able to fucking imperialize, which is how prosperous it always has been in history, which is insane. A lot of people don't realize that, terrible, terrible things are happening all over the world. And they forget that, and they forget they live in prosperous places. I mean, I have a lot of criticisms I have towards my country, which is the United States, but which I probably will never say on this channel, but I would not live anywhere else. Maybe some parts of Europe, but I would not rather go anywhere other than the U. I would like to travel to Europe, but I would not like to live in Europe because I enjoy the culture that exists within the United States. And that is something I won't. I mean, even our next door neighbor, Mexico, and this is through no fault of the people. I think Mexico has one of the richest and most incredible cultures and people I've ever seen in a country. It's beautiful. But the government has always just been unstable. And so it's always been under some form of rule, whether it was being in a horrible civil war right after getting independence from Spain, or being invaded by America, or being in another civil war, or being invaded by France. It's like that country has never, I don't think, experienced a long amount of peacehood. And so the government has never been able to take root. The people have never been able to really have a peaceful government where there wasn't constant fucking turmoil. And a lot of people forget that, and they try, and I really fucking hate seeing it because I see people in my country demonizing the immigrants who come from Mexico and those other South American countries. And it's like, you don't understand what the fuck those people have been through because you live in the United States. You've always had a government which your biggest criticism could be, well, they're liberal right now or they're conservative right now. You don't know a government that genuinely has no way of being able to have good policies or enforce good peace. It's insane to think about it. So many people forget that in my country. It's terrible. And so it goes back, like, you have to be just grateful for your situation, and then you have to recognize what's good and why you're fighting to stay alive and to keep things going well. Because, like, once again, I have a lot of things I can say about the United States, especially about what our current president has been doing that, are not good, that I don't think are the right choices to make. But I would rather not live I wouldn't rather live anywhere else. Hell, I also have a lot to say about California and how our state government runs things. I don't think they're doing that great of a job, but I would not live in any other state because my state is beautiful and it has so many amazing people. It has an amazing culture. And I can recognize those factors and I can say, well, I love my state more than I dislike some of the things its government does. I mean, there's so much I can be grateful for even just right now playing the game. Number one, the fact that I have enough downtime to even play the game this often. And, like, I know a lot of times I'm bitching about something else like my schooling, but I also have to be grateful for my education. The fact that I can receive the kind that I get. Um, see, I think I've said before in these, I'm a senior in high school. But I've also had some of the greatest opportunities that are not offered to a lot of people. I've mentioned before I take community college classes, and that's just because I've been blessed with the abilities to do things like mathematics. I've been able to grasp things within math at a higher level or easier level than most other people. And that's not through any, like, kind of skill of my own. That's just because I happen to be born with that ability. Does that make me better than other people? No. But it's just something that, I always fucking take for granted. But it'll probably really help me in a lot of situations. And, like, I'm not saying you should be complacent with your situation because there's always something you can be working to fix. Regardless of wherever you live, there's always something you can be willing to fix and should be willing to fix. But you can't do that whilst just making the blanket statement that I hate my country or I hate my state or I hate this people, because that doesn't work. That's not how you fix things. You have to be grateful for the things that you do love, or else you're going to be forgetting why you're fighting to fix the things that you don't like. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. They forget about what they're supposed to love and what they do love, and that forgetfulness just clouds their actual way to fixing things or making the situation better or whatever. I think right now, especially in the context of this year, we should all be grateful we're not in an active fucking war zone. because it's got to the point now where, I mean, war has always been like this, but especially right now, there are so many areas that are suffering greatly. Ukraine and its people, they have been fighting to keep their nation for 3 years. And because of negotiations that another superpower, I mean, they've been fighting a fucking superpower. I'm not sure if Russia is globally considered to be a superpower, but I mean, they have the biggest amount of nuclear arms. They have so many resources because they're such a gigantic country. I consider Russia to be a superpower in terms of relativity. In Europe, they are definitely a superpower. That's why, when they did have all of the nations they did within them, when they were part of the USSR, and they also had the Warsaw Pact, that's why NATO was just formed. It was just a little tiny alliance between Western Europe and Central, not even Central, more like just Southern Europe. And it was formed specifically to keep the Soviet Union from just annexing every fucking country in the region. Not annexing, but invading. As the same thing applies here. Like, Ukraine has been fighting this superpower behemoth for 3 years now. In a few months, it'll be 4 years. And it's not going to get any better for them anytime soon because the other superpower, the United States, which is supposed to be protecting them, is making a peace plan, and nobody knows if it's going to actually demand Russia to stop or if it's going to give Vladimir Putin, several concessions that are just destroying Ukraine as a country, which is terrible. Imagine surviving with your family in this war for 3 years, and then you have the realization that just because the United States happened to swing right, the country might just be lost. It's terrible. And also, the situation in places like Gaza, Sudan, fuck it. There's a lot of, like, Congo, Sudan, Gaza, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo. All these places are being ravaged because some other external powerful force wants control. Israel, which is like, America's own fucking satellite oil state. Not oil state. I've always believed that Israel was like the West's little puppet to enforce oil brutality or oil embargoes, whatever it was, to basically force all of the other Middle Eastern nations to sort of like not exactly be forced to trade, but it's like this kind of like, I've got my eye on you. Don't fuck with our little Israel or we're going to kick your ass. It's like that kind of thing. Is that entirely correct? I don't know. But I've probably already said a lot, but fuck it. But the thing is, like, and so because all these Western powers are backing Israel, they're just doing whatever the hell they want. And that's terrible. And the same thing happens with, like, the UAE and its support of the whoever's conducting the Sudanese genocide, and then Rwanda, carrying out its own genocide against the DRC. It's just, there's so much global suffering that we should be grateful we're not experiencing. But that doesn't mean we have to be complacent with the fact that it's happening. We should be working to stop it, and also stop it from happening in our own home areas. Damn. Look at that. I even got something to be grateful about. Look at this. Look at this. My first sub-19. Is it a new PB? No, but it's a sub-19. I haven't had that in a little while. A few days I haven't had a sub-19. See, basically, what I want you to take away from this video is to be grateful for the things you have and the people and the places that you love. Because if you don't have that gratefulness in your heart, you're not going to know where to start when it's time to fight for the things that you feel need to be fixed. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.